Hi guys, and welcome back to the BroBryceGardens channel. Get my headphones out here. I've been working on the worm bin, getting it started for the year, and I told you guys about how I'm currently starting a small little compost pile to try to attract some worms. I want to see about trying to get it where the worms will come to me. In the meantime, I still want to get started, and I put a post up in a Facebook group in my neighborhood asking people if they would allow me to go through their compost heap to find some worms. And one lady graciously offered to just give me some worms right out of her compost bin because she's got just tons and tons of these red wigglers. So I wanted to show you what I got started here. I have all these cinder blocks laying around my property from previous tenants that used to live here, and what I did was I have some spare shingles from our roofing project, and let me set those aside here. Everything's kind of a mess because we've been doing a lot of projects on the property, but so I've got a piece of old wood here. This is from our garage. We had to cut out a section of floor, but I wanted to just use this as sort of a top, and I've got all these cinder blocks basically built up to kind of insulate it. And you can't feel it, but I can feel it on the inside of this. It's really nice and cool, temperature controlled, and this should keep them fairly well insulated. And it will keep them in the shade because I don't want them to be really in direct sunlight. But anyway, I can basically take my worm bin, which is, let me do the one-handed fail technique again. Hold on a second. And drop it in here. Alright, so there it is. The worm bin sits right in there. And what I've done is I've been adding some material to it. I've got some dried leaves in here. I've got a lot of shredded paper, and then I've got a lot of vegetables that I've been adding to. And there's a spider in there, but that goes with the territory. Spiders are not a huge problem, but I've been adding to it and letting the stuff sit out for a while. And it's ready for wormies to come in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take this paper out of here for now. Just set it aside. And just like I showed in my last worm bin video, I'll show you. I've got this coir in the bottom. I've added a little bit of dirt to it. I've got a meat thermometer that I'll be using to measure the heat. The heat in there currently is around 90 degrees, but that's because it was sitting out in the sun. And for now, it's going to be in the dark. And we'll check it again in a few hours and see what it looks like. But for now, I've got this coir underneath. It's kind of spongy damp. And I've got some old vegetables that are in here. It's pretty much ready to be populated. And my first layer of worms. So I've added some to the corner over here. And what I've been following the suggestions of the garden frugal guy, Clint. And if you want to see his videos, you should go right there. And anyway, I'm putting them all in this corner for now, and then what I'll do is the next time I feed them, I'll feed them over here, which will be next week, and then I'll put it over here, then I'll put it over here, then I'll put it in the middle. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And for now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread them out. So this wonderful lady Barbara gave me some worms, and they're already in the dirt and castings that she has in her garden. And so I'm just going to go ahead and dump it out. And boy, are there a ton of little red wigglers, and she said there's a whole lot of eggs in there too. So yeah, there are just a ton of little red wigglers in here. She's got some banana peels and stuff, and I'm just gonna spread them out. And this is just a great way to start. There's lots of coffee grounds in here. That's kind of cool. And she said that she knows that you're not supposed to add citrus to it, but she does. And I don't know that I'm going to add much citrus to this. It'll probably be just occasionally, and I'll probably add maybe a slice of bread or a half a slice of bread to sort of help to ease off on that. And I'm going to let them come to where the food is, but I'm just going to spread them out a little bit here and let them go to where they want to go, where they want to hide. And then I'm going to add some of the dried leaves back in there, and the paper, the shredded paper. The shredded paper is for keeping the flies away, because fruit flies and even black fly, like the soldier flies, they'll come and those larvae will take over if you don't have a good solid layer. I had that experience last year. Even when I was in the house, the flies were attracted to it. And that's also a big mistake for adding protein. So I've got eggshells in here that I've crushed up. And Barbara told me that she would take the eggshells and let them dry out in the fridge for a while. And then when they were really dry, she would put them in like a food processor and make them into a powder. So now that I've got this this corner over here populated with food, I'm just going to stick this right down in there, the meat thermometer, so that I can read it, and then put the lid back on top of it so it's ready to go. And pretty soon we should have some nice friendly worms breeding in there and eating up the compost. So let's cover it back up so as the sun gets higher, we don't end up with worms frying in there. Put the sheets of the roofing over the top of it, and I'm going to find a better way to cover it when it comes time to rain. But my ideal place for putting this is not there at all, because this is blacktop and it's still going to get somewhat warm, even though that's about the coolest place on the property that's on the blacktop. It's actually a really nice, cool place because the fence gives it shade a lot. But back here behind the garage, in the shade of this small maple tree, is where it is going to be, because for the early part of the day it's under the shade of the maple tree, and the later part of the day it's in the shade of the garage. So that's going to be really nice when the whole thing is done. When this is done being painted, then I'll move the whole construction back here, and that's where I'll deal with the composting stuff. There's another idea for a compost bin that Barbara gave to me, and I'm going to share that with you guys later. I'll put it together probably in the next week or so, just to try to get started, and we'll draw some worms up out of the ground, I'm sure. So in the meantime, I've still got my little compost heap going over there. Haven't found any worms in it, found some other bugs in it, but mostly the ants are gone because of the ant trap thing that I set up last week. Anyway, see you soon, and I got another video coming up next week. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.